WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. Happy 4th to everybody out there celebrating America, or what's left of it at this point. We'll be celebrating with our friends on both sides of the county. My Dundalk side, of course, Heritage Fair this weekend. Dean Crawford scheduled to come on the program. I was chasing the Crack the Sky guys around trying to promote my hometown festival. Of course, all of it brought to you by our friends at Wise Markets. I got a Wise Markets mug now. They gave me a hat. I don't know. Ever since I really grew my hair out like all hippie, I'm not really wearing my hat anymore. I'll probably be down at Merriweather this weekend before it's all over with. It is a busy time around here. This guy and I usually get together and talk some Ravens football when we're not talking Orioles baseball or real estate or other things. Jeff Mohler is, of course, my realtor. And I'm not going to talk about the Ocean City story from back in the 90s. We'll let that one go at this point. It always angers your father. Of course, his dad, Don Mohler, my partner in crime around here for all things when we're not talking about the Orioles. What's going on, man? How's the real estate market? My condo, we always knew all along was going to take a special audience that would want this kind of view down here. But I'm doing my best to market it. I would think over the next week or two, we'll get some of the best sunrises and sunsets. Traditionally, the hot days make that happen. So root for Mohler and Gary to sell my condo at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to happen, Nestor. It's going to happen with your views and that building. It's going to happen. So
it might be my views that are getting in the way. Should I start with baseball or real estate with you? I mean, the baseball, it's not a happy story right now. What's going on?
Well, it's funny, man. I know where you stand with the O's, and it's definitely a tough year. But I'm always perplexed. It's part of a rebuild, and we knew that we're 2 years in, and the fan base is definitely running out of patience. So which is surprising because you look what's going on in Bowie. There's a lot of great things happening, a lot of good young talent that's doing really well, and that's the future. So I'm a little surprised that people are surprised about how bad they are. I mean, this is what I expected, for a couple of years. So as they are rebuilding and having one of the best, now they have one of the best, minor leagues in all of Major League Baseball. So they have totally revamped that. And it's coming. These guys are going to be in Camden Yards in a year or two. So that'll be exciting.
Did you have a good time at Bowie?
I didn't go. That was my old man that went to that game.
See, I always think you're one and the same, especially when grandkids are involved and whatnot. But so you haven't been to Bowie?
I have not. Nope.
I was supposed to go Saturday night. Jen and I had put it all together, and then it was a hot day, and we were sort of cleaning out some stuff at the radio station. Bill Cole was helping me get rid of stuff that was literally in the basement 23 years ago when I bought it that just needs to go. So it's it was a workout day, and we didn't make it. I mean, Rodriguez went 5 innings, 1 hit, it was fireworks. It was Jimmy Buffett night, all of that. I haven't been to a ball game. I have an interesting tale for you. Doing this crab cake tour, and I invited Joe Madden on to have a crab cake because they're in town in August, and Shohei Ohtani's here, and I thought, it'd be good to see Ohtani. I'm actually going to be in New York this week. He's pitching Wednesday night at Yankee Stadium, and my wife and I are trying to talk each other into doing it. Is that what we want to do on a 95-degree day in New York? Go up to the Bronx, to a stadium we've been to many, many times, in a lot of ways. Some heartbreak up there with the Orioles. Been there long enough. The new Yankee Stadium's been there long enough to break my heart as an Oriole fan in a knockout game. So I sat there and watched that. So I'm trying to figure that part of it out. This is the demoralizing part here that we're in right now, and Luke and I have yelled about this, is how bad they are and how they're not really trying, and how they're trying to sort of be bad enough to get the first pick instead of the second pick, although they had the second pick last year and they didn't even take the second best player because they were too cheap to do that. So there's all of these weird things where I still go back to management and I say, who's running it? And your father would say Mike Elias, and I'd say, no, he's not, because they're so embarrassed about who's running it, TJ Brightman, that they don't even tell you who's running it, John Angelos, and who's making the decisions about the future of the stadium and what they're doing. You go to the games. You've been to 5 games this year, a handful of games, Oriole games?
I've been to a couple games. Yeah, not a whole lot. I've been.
What's your experience of going? What motivates you on a Tuesday night that it's not raining and you have a ticket to go down there. Give me the experience of being there right now, because that looks morose, quite frankly. Like,
Yeah.
and the notion of going to Yankee Stadium and seeing Shohei Ohtani pitch and maybe getting some Japanese food along the way feels like a different experience than Shohei Ohtani pitching for Orioles fans in August, honestly.
Well, the the one game I went to was when the Mets were in town, and I was hoping to see DeGrom pitch. So that was, we rolled the dice, and they were only here for 2 days. So the draw is to see some great players that maybe aren't Orioles right now, but that's going to flip to, I'm going to the park to see Rushman and Rodriguez and Hall, so
like I almost went to Bowie to see Saturday. That's the reason I was going to go.
Exactly. And I think, here's what I think, Nestor. I think that the fans, that they're going to have to do something to keep the fans engaged, because you make a great point. It's not, the hard part is that the rebuild's only been 2 years, but they've been bad for longer than that. So even though this new regime is in and things are changing and we have some talent in the pipelines, it's they have to deal with the fact that they were poor before that. So it seems a lot longer. So now fans are just running out of patience. So I know that keeping these guys in the minors is better, but at some point you got to give people a reason to come to the park. Just like you said, they want to see Rushman, they want to see Hall, they want to see Rodriguez. I'd show up to watch those guys play. There's no draw other than Mancini, and Cedric Mullins is having a great year too. So, but are those guys, Mullins isn't a star, right? I mean, he's having a great year, but he's not a star. And Mancini, he's close to a star, but is he really a star? He's a great story and he's a heck of a player. And shoot, he might not even be here in a month, right?
He's not helping him sell tickets. And Luke and I have talked about that.
Right.
But there is a part of the dignity of, we have major league players on this team. And I think that, part of the issue for me is where they are right now, the rest of this way. Not only are they not representative, they don't look like a major league baseball team when they're losing 13-0 and 9-0. Like that's
right.
not that's not acceptable. And I think it's going to get worse. I mean, obviously they've lost a shortstop now. They're going to deal something or somebody for whatever they're going to get at this point. Questioning whether Means is, was going to be the no-hitter guy. I mean, God, since that no-hitter, I mean, they won 5 of 6 at one point, but other than that, they're like 3-30 something. It's incredible how awful it's been. Legendary.
Yeah. And there's not a whole lot. I mean, you have, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank, but the guy who played third base but didn't have an arm, and he's a great hitter. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
Rio Ruiz?
No, the young guy who can hit. He's really good. I think he's going to be a great player. Oh gosh.
Keep going.
Yeah. Anyhow, but he's a great. I mean, they got young talent. And they are going to be bad, but a lot of their young talent is still in the minor leagues. And it is going to get worse. And Matt Harvey, they didn't get what they had hoped out of Matt Harvey. He finally had a good start his last outing. So there's not a lot.
Him and Felix Hernandez, that's what you're going to, that's
right.
What they're taking the Flyers on, which is different, as I pointed out, than giving money to Ubaldo Jimenez or giving $15 million to Kevin Millwood to come in here and suck up 30 starts because you think you can win 80 games. You can't. So they're in a really tough spot in that this is not Major League Baseball. It's not representative, yet they want full-time prices, right? Like I don't see $5 night. I don't see any incentive to say, let's pack the ballpark. Let's get some people down here for whatever. I mean, Pride night last week, and you should have seen the comments on that on Facebook, which is demoralizing for humanity as well as their fan base. But I bringing dogs to the game and Christmas night and Jim Palmer bobblehead night. All right, but this isn't good, and it's at a time where the city's struggling, downtown's struggling. We're trying to sell my condo as well as everything else. Like it's all baked into this. This is not a good time to not be trying.
Right. Well,
in life, anywhere.
Well, I agree, but so what does that look like, though? From a Orioles from a personnel standpoint, Ryan Mountcastle is the player that I was mentioning. I think he's a stud. I think he's going to be a great player.
He's
But
going
from
to
a
be a first baseman, though. To your point.
No, I agree. But what personnel wise, what else do you want them to be doing at this point? Would you do it differently than what they're doing? Because they've gone from having one of the worst, minor league systems to a top, I think it's top 5 now as far as talent goes. So the rebuild is working. They've totally revamped that in a short amount of time. And if you look at the Astros rebuild, it takes time. So my question would be, I understand running out of patience, and you're right, like this is not good. But what else should they be doing from a personnel standpoint that they're not doing right now? Haven't they shown us that, hey, what they're doing is working? We just have to be patient and allow these guys to come through the system. And that'll be a year or two before they're up playing in the Camden Yards.
I think the hardest part is watching people try to take apart Brandon Hyde. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you're yelling at the chef because the seafood stinks. I
Right.
mean, I know what the hell are you doing? Jeff Mohler's here. Be like me yelling at you because I can't sell my condo. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. My condo's great, dude. It's your fault. That like, come on, man. It's time and season for everything. But whoever took this gig here managing this baseball team, I think they knew what they were in for, in the same way when you're like, oh, I'm taking a listing downtown in a high-end condo with a beautiful view. We'll find a buyer. It just might not be right away. And that's just sort of the notion of like where the world is on the back end of the pandemic. And I also think I asked what your expectation was about going to the game. I'm going to New York this week. My expectation is going to be different for New York. Maybe not for Springsteen, but for all the rest of it, it will be. I think expectation for you going to the Oriole game 2 months ago was different. My expectation of the Heritage Fair this weekend is different. I think we all have a different level of, hey, man, the service is not going to be great here right now. And Leonard Raskin and I talked about that this week at Raskin Global. I went out to dinner last week. I'm grading everything on a little bit of a curve at this point, which is why, like, my wife's like, why don't they have a $5 night and get some people down to the ballpark? They're 30 games under 500. That would be part of the, hey, we're just trying to get people here. It's almost like they don't want us to look at it to some degree. Like by banning me would make me not talk about it. Well, that didn't work. I'm here talking about it anyway.
Well, yeah, I hear you. The one thing I can tell you, because I'm a season ticket holder, is what they're allowing you to do, and this isn't helping get people down, but they are understanding of the pandemic and people's comfort levels, is that, hey, you can send your tickets back for a credit for future games, and that's even, they're going to be even flexible for that for next year. So,
well, I would think a lot of people are going to say, I don't want to come down and see this in August. Why? You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
I'd rather see Rutschman play next year. I don't want to go down there.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
The place is really going to empty out then.
I agree. Yes, I think it really is. And for those reasons, unless they bring these guys up at the end of the year, then there's a reason to go, because that's the hope. The hope isn't what they're trotting out right now, other than Mountcastle and maybe Cedric Mullins. And you love watching Mancini, which, by the way, if they do trade Mancini, I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do, but from a PR standpoint, boy, is that a nightmare. I mean, you're losing the one guy that people really have attached themselves to as an Oriole fan. I mean, he's the guy that we followed. We liked him before the cancer.
So do you like him 3 years, 55 million? What do you like him? I mean, do you need his face, over on this side of the billboard when you're coming up, Conway, you want to have a face on the wall? I mean, they don't have his face on the wall now. I don't know whose face on the wall. You know whose face is on the wall? 30 games under 500. Don't come here. Go down the Bowie. I mean, Marty Conway and I talked about that last week. Like, if you and I were going to go to a game, I guess it would be Bowie. I guess maybe a Nationals game. I mean, the Padres are coming in a couple of weeks. I'm going to go down there on Saturday night and see Freddie Ullman and go to a Padres Nationals game in July.
Right. That's a draw. That's a great point. And I like watching the College World Series I will watch the College World Series on ESPN before I'm turning on an Orioles game now. And that's, I'm an Oriole fan. I love the Orioles, but to your point, it's not very exciting. What am I watching it for? You know, these guys aren't the future, other than a couple, maybe one or two guys on that squad. That's all you have. That's going to be the future. So it's not an exciting brand right now. And while I think that they're doing things, I think Elias is doing a good job from a PR standpoint. They need to do something, because there's not much of a draw. You either got to start bringing these guys up sooner than you want to, or not, you know? So, I mean, it's a PR that I think from a PR standpoint, you're right. They got to do something, and that can be, or else they're going to lose more fans. And when you lose them, you might lose them for longer than you want to.
Well, I mean, I think when they threw me out back in 2006, I didn't think they would think in 2021 I'd still be here on the radio, right, taking shots and still wanting to go back and still thinking about Shohei Ohtani and still planning a Saturday night around Grayson Rodriguez, whether I go or not. Jeff Mohler is here. Mohler and Gary, they do realty. They sell most homes and condos. How's the market? I mean, I think in general, it can only roll. When I talked to you and other realtors 6 months ago, you're like, we've never seen anything like this. That it's like 3.6 million at Camden Yards in 92. It can't last forever, right? It's not a forever thing.
It's not a for everything, but I also don't think it's a bubble, you know? So from what I'm hearing and from what I'm studying, this is not, 2007 again. So yeah, because people aren't getting mortgages where they don't have to put anything down. They're still putting 20% down. So this isn't a bubble, but as far as how hot it is, it's not going to last forever. It's going to slow down a little bit over the summertime. But what's really important, Nestor, is that, when you're in a competitive market, that you have an agent who understands how to structure a contract. And then also an agent who also gets along well with other agents. I've run into that before, where you'll have multiple offers on a house and there'll be an agent who's just really difficult to deal with. Well, that buyer is going to lose out because they chose the wrong realtor who doesn't have a great working relationship with your other realtors as well. So there's a lot of factors. You got to know how to structure a contract so you win that bidding war. And you have to have an agent who also has good working relationships with other agents. So when you put your contract on the table, that listing agent knows that you're easy to work with. You're a competent professional, and you're going to get it done. So there's a lot of factors that come into play in this real estate market. And if you're not with a experienced realtor who knows the ins and outs and the best way to kind of get to help you get into a house, then it can be a grueling process for sure.
It's interesting you'd say that about getting the deals, because I'm sure you could brag about the deals you've gotten right in the last year. I'm sure there's been some frustration along the way too about things that aren't happening when there are that many people at the party, when there's that many girls to dance with. Everybody's looking over everybody's shoulder, looking for the bigger, better deal. And maybe we can get more, maybe we can squeeze $5,000 more out of this. It's $5,000, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is, right? That I'm sure it's been even more difficult to be an agent, not just because your kids are running around and there's a pandemic and all that, but it's a crazier experience in that way, because everyone I've talked to said, yeah, 5 offers, 10 offers. I knew my place wasn't going to be that way, even in the marketplace, but seeing what other people have dealt with, I would think it's been head on a swivel to some degree with realtors, right?
It has, but the silver lining, Nestor, is that what I think it's going to do is that the influx of agents that came into the profession, I think it's going to start to weed those agents out. Everybody thought, hey, this is great, I'll just go be a realtor, and they think it's really simple and it's not that difficult. Well, in this market, you have to be experienced, you have to know what you're doing, or else you're not going to be putting food on the table, because you're competing every single deal that you're going after. So that's the silver lining. I mean, I'm proud to say that, I've been able to advise my clients on the buying side and seller side fairly successful, and it's, I'm not bragging, but that's where experience comes into play. I do brag about my professional working relationship with other realtors. They're not my competitors. We work together. If you don't have that mindset, you're not going to be showing lots of houses and putting in lots of offers, and your buyer's not going to have an accepted offer if you don't approach it the right way and you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know how to structure a contract, you don't know how to communicate, you don't know how to navigate this market, and the newer agents just don't. They just don't know how to do that, because they don't have the experience to handle it. So there is a silver lining there. I've been able to navigate it pretty well. I love working with a lot of different agents, and we've been able to kind of, to adjust to this, because it's going to go back to your point. Hey, it's going to go back. This isn't going to last forever. The game's going to change again, and you're going to have to adjust again. So, for all your listeners out there, you have to make sure that you have an agent who's able to make that adjustment, like the Ravens, right? You got to make that halftime adjustment. Things change. You go in with a game plan. The market changes. You got to adjust, and you have to do it for the best of your client. And so, because really, that's why we're in it. We're in it to help. I'm in it to help you sell your condo. When I have buyers, I'm in it to help them get the house in a competitive market. So I need to be on top of my game so they're successful.
Yeah, there's no umpire coming to check you for all the sticky stuff like in baseball
That's
right
right.
now, right?
No.
Jeff Mohler is here. He's Mohler Gary Realty, of course, son of Don Mohler. And Don and I have had some great guests here recently. We're getting up on 4th of July. We've been back to State Fair outside. I want you to give me a little Catonsville primer, being Mr. Catonsville, truly son of Catonsville, you are, and nephew of Catonsville, and father as well to Catonsvillians, yes. Little Catonsvillers.
Yes.
Are you Catonsvillers or Caton? Someone's from Catonsville. What do you
Villians.
call them? A Villian? Catonsvillian?
Catonsvillian. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
We're from the Ville. It's called the Ville. So
the Ville. Chairs out. 4th of July. Was there ever a 4th of July where like you're not in Catonsville, like where you found yourself at the beach? Because it feels to me like Catonsville's a different kind of place. I've gotten to know that over the last couple of years.
Yeah, that happened one time when we weren't here for the 4th of July and never again. It was, it's a special place. There's very few. I mean, Dundalk too. I mean, you're a Dundalk guy. I mean, with the Dundalk parade, it's different there too. There's a few communities where the 4th of July is different. And honestly, the 4th of July is my favorite holiday. It's just, it's wonderful. And we missed out on it last year. And so the chairs are out. The parades are going. The only thing I'm not a fan of is the 3rd of July. Like, come on, man. It's the 4th of July. Why are we celebrating on the 3rd? That drives me a little bit crazy. But
the parade's on the 3rd?
The parade and the fireworks are on the 3rd. So it's not even on the 4th, because the 4th is a Sunday. So, which I understand it, but for me, the 4th of July should be on the 4th. But that's my only beef.
Wow. I mean, that's breaking. I didn't know that. I mean, it's a good thing you told me, because like, I thought it was Sunday.
You were showing up on Sunday.
Well, you know
now
why?
You got to show up on Saturday.
Let me tell you why I was showing up Sunday. Because it's the 4th of July.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why. Right?
Exactly. Exactly. I know.
But, all right. Well, I'll be at the Heritage Fair on Saturday. Sorry, pal. Crack the Sky, Dean Crawford. I'm going to be over there, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's a shame. I mean, we got everything. It's still going to be wonderful. And the Catonsville Celebrations Committee puts this on every year. It's just a wonderful event, man. It is something that I will never want to miss again. It is my favorite holiday of all holidays, and
I'm glad I had you on this week. Then, right?
It is Christmas in Catonsville on the 4th of July, and any of your listeners, if they're looking for something to do on the 3rd, parade starts at 3, fireworks are at night, and it's just a wonderful celebration. So I would highly recommend to all your listeners to check it out.
And if you're going to park near Mohler's house, you got to get there by 10 a.m. or they shut the streets down.
Yes, they do.
See that? Absolutely. I mean, I remember.
You're on it.
I'm like, should I pick up some food before I come? And they're like, dude, the neighbors will feed you here. Everyone will feed everyone here. You don't have to worry about. No one's going hungry in Catonsville on the 3rd of July. All right.
That's right. No, it's wonderful. It makes you. It's just a feel good holiday that it's my favorite. It's my favorite.
All right. Well, hey man, hydrate, because it's going to be hot out there, right?
Yeah.
We got houses to sell, baseball to see, prospects to prospect, and soccer to watch too. I've been watching a lot of Euro around here. Dude, we're going to click our heels together, and the condo's going to be sold. Raven season's going to be in. Things are going to be happening. I'm going to need to find a new place to live and rent. I mean, it's It's going to be exciting. I'll be 30 crab
Yes.
cakes in my belly. Are you
Oh
doing any of
man.
the crab cakes? Like, where's your crab cake place? Like, do you have a crab cake thing?
Well, we actually, I like a lot. It's tough to find a good one. You have you got Papa's, you got Coco's, right? Those are all two really good ones. But we now get there's a little stand around the corner that sells jumbo lump crab meat, Chesapeake Fresh, and I go there and I get the crab meat and we make them at home, and I swear they're as good as anybody. So
Okay, you make them at
maybe.
home. Hold on. What's in it? Or do
Uh-oh.
I need to talk to Sandra about this?
No. It's egg, Old Bay, a little Worcestershire, Dijon mustard is the key, and some breadcrumbs. Now, the key is that you whisk the egg, the mayonnaise, the Dijon mustard, the Worcestershire, and the Old Bay. You got to whisk it until you see bubbles. That's the key, and then you put in the crab meat and and obviously parsley is in there too, and the breadcrumbs. And we make our own bread. We're gluten free, so we take gluten free bread and we crumble that up and use that.
Okay.
And so it's a dairy free, gluten free kind of deal, but it's fantastic and very little filler, and it's tough to beat it, to be honest with you.
I did not expect to get this sort of a Guy Fieri sort of a Bourdain roll at Dijon mustard. Like
yeah.
I've hung out with your old man. You're much more refined than your old man. I mean,
he makes a good crab cake.
I met your sister too. You've moved the gene pool ahead. It must have been some about Linda's French chef thing coming down the pipe, or what's happening?
It could be. Well, my grandmother, yes, my mom's a phenomenal cook, and my dad makes good crab cakes too. And my grandmother was a phenomenal cook. So this has been the one that we make has kind of been, we've adjusted it from time to time to kind of get it to where we like it. But it's tough to beat. And the crab meat, we get
dairy free. You're selling it. You're just selling it to me, man.
I am. Well, we have some stomach sensitivity stuff going on in our house, but so we've been able to kind of make it taste really good. And the crab meat, it's mostly crab meat, and the crab meat we get from Chesapeake Fresh is off the hook, man. It's fantastic. They set up a little truck right on Frederick Road in Catonsville. They're there most days of the week, and they got produce and phenomenal crab meat. But you got to go. You got to go
fresh
jumbo
Maryland
lump.
crab meat, man.
You got to go jumbo lump. The regular lump, if you're gonna do it, you got to go with the jumbo lump, not the regular lump.
$50 a pound. It's going crazy, man.
Well, we don't do it very often. We don't do it very often, but when we do it, we do it right.
I was at Wise last week, and I saw it at 35 or 36, and I thought, well, all right, so it's getting to be a little bit more.
Yeah.
A little bit more reasonable. Look, a lot of crab cakes ahead for me. I don't even care what they cost, as long as they're good. All the recipes are going to be different. All the techniques are going to be different. I'm going to go Eastern Shore. I'm going to talk to people. I just heard your secret gluten-free dairy. Hey, man, I'm trying yours. I'm trying everybody's. Jeff Mohler and Gary Realty. Make sure you find them at Mohler Homes. They're out in Catonsville. He's already got the chair out in front of the place up on Frederick Road for the weekend here, and this Oriole thing, them stinking like this gives you more chance to do other things for a little while here.
That's true. That's true.
Focus on business, life, snowballs, kids, summertime, all of that. And it's a summertime right now without a mask, and we're shot up. So we're already ahead of where we were last year, Jeff.
Boom. Yes, sir. Hey, are you going to rank the crab cakes when you go on this crab cake tour? Are you going to rank your top crab cakes?
I'm not trying to
I got you.
7s or 8s or 9s. I'm trying to say this one's a little more salty. This one's a little more Old Bay-ish. This one's got a little bit like when I did Evan up at State Fair, he brought him out and we did. If you saw the segment, right? I mean, you were gone by then, right?
Yeah.
You did the first segment. You were gone.
Yeah, I should have stayed. I didn't know that there was crab cakes coming.
Well, the crab cakes came later.
Okay.
And I would have shared with you, quite frankly. Ken and Meg were beneficiaries by that. So he brings them out, and and we're eating them, and his recipe's really simple. It's like a couple of 5 ingredients, not a lot of ingredients at all. Mm-hmm. Parsley, you can see that in there. And I tasted, the first thing I said, I taste Thrasher's French fries. There's peanut oil in this. He's like, I couldn't get it by you. We fried them in peanut oil. That's the secret. And I'm like, they're delicious. I mean, but way different than if it's in a canola. I mean, just a completely different flavor profile that in the same way that when you have a Thrasher's French fry, it doesn't taste like it came from McDonald's, right?
Right. Yeah.
Period,
That's
right?
true.
So all of those little nuances, like you're a little heavy on the Dijon and your bubbles and your, hey man, that's going to be different than somebody that's going French's, which is going to, and there's nothing wrong with French. It's going to just taste different. That's all.
Right. Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to bitch about crab cakes because I'm getting it in Maryland. Not going to Delaware, Pennsylvania. I'm trying to avoid PG County, Montgomery County, because who the hell goes to D.C. for a crab cake? But apparently they've imported recipes from our ancestors down there, and even the Washington football team, they serve it. Apparently they serve a Jimmy's crab cake at a Nationals game. So,
nice.
Tells you all you need to know. They need to come to Baltimore to get something decent. Jeff Mohler and Gary Realty. He sells homes, including mine.
Yes.
Someday. Some way.
Absolutely.
I know you shouldn't feel bad. It's not your fault. My place is just too nice. It's not for anybody. It's like that Morris Day song, only for the sexy people, my condo. So it's not for everybody, I mean, it's like the next place we're going to live, I'm going to walk into certain places. I don't feel bad about the cat I didn't adopt. I just love the one I did, right?
Yep. It's going to go, man.
Love the one you're with.
That's right.
Someone's going to love these sunsets.
No doubt.
We'll sell it. No worries. Mohler Gary Realty, if you want my place, send Jeff a note, send me a note. Come on by. We're not having an open house.
The best views in the city. Honestly, I mean, they're the best views in the city.
I can't begin to oversell it or undersell it. If you follow my journey, if you follow it during the week, the pictures are real. No filter, as I say.
Right. Amazing.
It's like cotton candy in the sky. Anyway, you can find me, nasty at WNST.net. Don and I got great guests. We have County Executive Barry Glassman, speaking of crab cakes, going to be checking out the Barrett's crab cake in Harford County. I remember it being delicious in Hunt Valley. So we're going to be up in Bel Air this week with the Harford County Executive Barry Glassman. Also, next week, Stuart Pittman, Anne Arundel County, will be down at G&M doing that. So crab cakes, summertime, baseball, Euro soccer, and more fun. I am Nestor. We are WNST AM 1570 Towson, Baltimore. With our intelligent conversations and the wise chats, we never stop chatting Baltimore positive.